The planet had always seemed empty to the human explorers. Endless stretches of rocky plains, jagged cliffs, and winds that howled like forgotten spirits. Captain Aaron stood on the edge of a cliff, scanning the horizon through his visor. His team moved behind him, carefully making their way down a narrow path that twisted around sharp stones. Supplies were running low, and morale had begun to sink with every step. Every human in the group knew this mission was dangerous. Reports had spoken of alien factions in the area, but no one had expected the desolation they faced now. Aaron's eyes, sharp and watchful, caught something moving far below. At first he thought it was a trick of the wind, a shadow dancing across the rocks. But then he heard a faint, trembling cry. The sound was weak, almost lost to the gusts, but unmistakable. Human instinct pushed him forward. He motioned for the team to halt. "Did you hear that?" he asked, his voice low but urgent. The team froze, scanning the cliffs and valleys. "It could be wind," muttered one of the explorers, a young woman named Mara, but Aaron shook his head. He had learned over years of exploration that instinct was a tool just as valuable as any scanner. "No," he said firmly. "That was real. Someone or something is in trouble." The group descended cautiously, using ropes and grappling hooks where necessary. The cry grew louder as they moved closer to a small alcove, hidden by jagged rocks. When they finally reached the source, Aaron's heart clenched. There, crouched against the stone, were two small alien figures. The older of the two, a girl with large luminescent eyes and pale, almost translucent skin, held the smaller one protectively. Both were filthy, clearly starving and trembling with fear. The older girl's voice broke as she spoke. "Please, please help us," she whispered. Take me as your servant. Just feed my sister." Aaron felt a pang of emotion he hadn't expected. Fear and suspicion warred with compassion. He could not know if this was a trap, if these aliens were bait for something more dangerous. Yet he saw the desperation in her eyes, the kind of desperation only hunger and fear could create. And he saw the tiny sister barely able to stand, clutching her older sibling's arm as if her life depended on it. "Easy," Aaron said gently, lowering himself to the girl's level. "We're not going to hurt you. But you have to tell us the truth. Are there more like you around? Are you in danger?" The girl nodded frantically, her large eyes filling with tears. They take us. They kill anyone who resists. My sister. She's all I have." She glanced at the younger one, who shivered, her small arms wrapped around her sister's waist. "I can work. I can help. Just please, feed her. Keep her alive." Aaron took a deep breath. He could see that her species was small and fragile, but she had something else, an intelligence and courage that set her apart. She was not just begging for herself. She was willing to risk everything for her sister. He signaled to Mara and the others to help. "Bring them back to camp," he ordered. "We'll figure this out." The journey back was not easy. The terrain was harsh, and the human team had to carry supplies and keep the aliens safe. Liratha, older girl, proved surprisingly capable. Despite her frailty, she helped navigate the cliffs, pointing out loose rocks, warning about sudden drops, and even spotting hidden paths that the humans had missed. It amazed Aaron. She was small, but her awareness and intelligence were extraordinary. As night fell, they reached their temporary camp. The humans set up a small tent to shelter the girls and offered them rations. The younger sister, exhausted and starving, ate quickly, barely pausing to breathe. Lyra watched, her hands clasped, waiting until her sister was full before touching the food herself. Mara knelt beside her, speaking softly. "You don't have to call yourself a servant. We just want to help." Lyra shook her head, tears in her eyes. "I have to. If I can't repay you, if my sister dies, it's my fault." Her voice was steady, but the emotion behind it was raw. Aaron understood her completely. She was carrying a burden far heavier than most humans could imagine. Over the next few days, the human team began to learn more about the girls. Lyra's species had been hunted by a rival faction for decades, leaving survivors scattered and alone. Her sister, tiny and frail, was unable to speak, relying entirely on Lyra to communicate. But Lyra's intelligence was remarkable. She quickly learned the humans' language, mimicking their words and gestures, and began assisting in small but important ways. She could sense danger, find hidden water sources, and even repair minor equipment with surprising skill. Aaron spent time observing her. He noted how she studied the humans' behavior, anticipating their needs, offering solutions before anyone asked. She was more than a survivor. She was a problem solver, a strategist. And he realized something that surprised him. Humanity's compassion had a power that extended beyond their species. By choosing to help, to protect, they had inspired loyalty, trust, and even courage in someone from an entirely different world. But danger was never far away. While the humans were focused on caring for the girls, sensors detected movement at the edge of the camp. Shadows flickered between the rocks. Aaron's heart tightened. His instinct screamed that someone or something was watching, waiting. "Stay inside," he warned the team quietly. "Do not make a sound." The humans and aliens huddled together, the tension thick in the air. For hours, nothing happened. Then, just before dawn, a patrol of hostile aliens appeared, moving cautiously through the rocks. Lyra stiffened. She whispered, barely audible, "They are looking for me." "For us?" Aaron nodded, silently signaling his team. They were trained for situations like this, but this was different. They were not just defending themselves, they were protecting lives fragile enough to be crushed with a single strike. Using stealth and clever maneuvering, the team managed to avoid direct confrontation, keeping the girls hidden. Lyra led them to a concealed alcove, demonstrating knowledge of her planet that the humans could not match. After the danger passed, Aaron allowed himself a small breath of relief. "You saved us," he said to Lyra, gratitude in his voice. She shook her head. "No, you saved us. You chose to help." Her words were simple but profound. Aaron realized that this small alien girl, trembling and desperate just days ago, had already become a symbol of why humans mattered. Their courage, their willingness to protect the weak, and their empathy had created a bond that nothing in this harsh world could break easily. Over the next week, the humans worked to secure a safe supply route for food and water for the girls. They began making plans to contact the main base, hoping to bring more assistance without attracting attention from hostile factions. Throughout this time, Lyra continued to prove her worth, helping in small but meaningful ways, fixing broken sensors, scouting terrain, and even warning the humans about natural hazards that could have been deadly. The team began to see her differently. No longer just a fragile alien child, she was a partner, a guide, and a testament to resilience. Aaron often found himself reflecting on how remarkable it was. Here, in the desolation of a hostile alien world, humanity's compassion had sparked hope, courage, and cooperation across species. One evening, as the twin moons of the planet rose high in the sky, Aaron stood watching the girls play quietly near the campfire. The younger sister laughed for the first time since they had found them, a sound so pure it made Aaron's chest ache. Lyra smiled, not out of relief but pride. She had kept her promise. She had protected her sister. And in doing so, she had formed a fragile but unbreakable trust with the humans. Aaron turned to Mara, who stood beside him. "Do you see it?" he asked softly. This is why we explore. Not just to find resources or chart worlds, but to connect, to protect, to inspire." Mara nodded. "They're lucky we found them, but maybe we're luckier too," Aaron smiled faintly. In a universe that often seemed empty and indifferent, here was proof that humans could shine. Through courage, compassion, and intelligence, they could touch lives, inspire hope, and make allies out of even the most desperate strangers. And he knew deep down that this was only the beginning. The bond with Lyra and her sister would grow, and together, they would face the dangers this harsh planet still held. Night deepened, the winds of the planet moaning softly across the rocks. The humans rested, the girls huddled close, and a fragile peace settled over the camp. For Aaron, this was more than survival. This was the essence of what it meant to be human. To rise above fear, to extend help where none was expected, and to find light in even the darkest corners of the galaxy. And somewhere, in the shadows beyond the camp, other eyes watched. The dangers had not disappeared. But Aaron and his team were ready. Humanity had arrived, not just as explorers, but as protectors, and that made all the difference. The morning sun rose pale and weak over the alien horizon, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain. Captain Aaron and his team were already awake, checking the perimeter of their small camp. The girls, Lyra and her younger sister, had been given extra rations overnight. And for the first time, the younger one seemed to smile naturally. Lyra, however, remained vigilant, her eyes scanning the horizon as though she could sense threats before they arrived. Aaron admired her. She was small, fragile even, yet her courage was immense. Her sharp mind had already saved the humans from hidden traps and treacherous terrain. Now, she was quietly teaching her sister to navigate safely, pointing out rocks that were loose in areas where sudden drops could be deadly. Every step she took, every decision she made, reminded Aaron that intelligence and bravery were not limited to humans alone, but the human capacity for compassion, for protection, was what had earned her trust. The day began with routine tasks, checking sensors, gathering food supplies, and repairing worn equipment. Lyra eagerly assisted, moving with surprising skill and precision. Aaron watched as she carefully examined a broken sensor, mimicking techniques he had taught the team, then adjusting it until it functioned again. "You have a talent for this," he said, impressed. Lyra glanced up, her eyes shining. "I want to help. I want to repay you." Aaron shook his head gently. "You don't owe us anything. You saved your sister, and that's enough." But Lyra refused to relent. "I must help. If I can learn, I can protect her, and help you too." Her words reminded Aaron why humanity's greatest strength was often unseen, the ability to inspire others, even across species, to rise to their potential. That evening, while the camp was quiet, a scout returned from a nearby ridge, panting and wide-eyed. "Captain," he gasped, "movement detected. Several of them hostile aliens. They're closing in from the east." Aaron's jaw tightened. He had feared this moment, and now it had come. "We'll prepare a defensive perimeter," he said, his voice calm but commanding. "Lyra, stay close to your sister." "Do exactly as we say." Lyra nodded, her expression set with determination. "I understand." The team worked quickly, setting up barriers, alert sensors, and traps designed to delay the approaching threat. Lyra observed closely, learning each step. Aaron noticed that she wasn't afraid. She was focused, calm, and methodical. It was rare to see such composure in someone so young. But her experiences had forced her to grow faster than most children ever could. As night fell, the hostile aliens arrived. They were taller than humans, with armored exoskeletons and glowing eyes that pierced the darkness. The humans in Lyra's group remained hidden, waiting for the right moment to act. Aaron signaled the team, and they launched a series of controlled attacks, using light and noise to confuse and scatter the intruders. Lyra, guided by instinct and careful observation, led her sister to safer positions, avoiding danger while still assisting the humans in coordinating the defense. The battle was tense, every moment demanding precision. Aaron marveled at how Lyra adapted quickly, directing humans and alien children alike to positions that minimized risk. She had become a vital part of their strategy, showing that survival and intelligence were not limited to physical strength alone. After hours of careful maneuvering, the hostile aliens retreated. Leaving the camp intact but tense, Aaron knelt beside Lyra once the danger had passed. "You did well," he said, genuinely proud. "You helped save everyone tonight." Lyra's eyes glistened with pride and relief. I could not let them hurt my sister or you. You trusted me. I had to be worthy." Aaron nodded. In that moment, he realized something profound. Humanity's compassion did more than protect, it inspired courage, loyalty, and hope. Even in the most desperate situations, The following days were spent reinforcing the camp and planning a longer-term solution. The team realized that they could not stay in this vulnerable position indefinitely. Supplies were limited, and the hostile factions would return. Aaron decided to send a team to the main base, requesting additional support. Lyra insisted on accompanying the humans, not as a burden, but as a guide. She knew the land better than anyone and could help them avoid ambushes and traps. During the journey, Aaron observed her closely. She had transformed from a desperate, pleading child into a capable, confident ally. She could anticipate dangers, negotiate tense encounters with cautious aliens, and even solve mechanical problems with tools she had never seen before. Her younger sister, though still shy and delicate, had begun to mimic her sister's courage, showing small signs of resilience that gave Aaron hope. One afternoon, they reached a plateau overlooking a canyon. The terrain was dangerous with narrow paths and steep drops, but Lyra led them with precision, pointing out weak rocks and warning of sudden gusts of wind. At one point, a small misstep could have sent one of the humans tumbling, but Lyra's quick reflexes and sharp instincts prevented disaster. "You're amazing," Aaron said quietly, more to himself than to her. Lyra smiled faintly. "I had to survive, and I want to help you survive too." As they camped that night, Aaron allowed himself to reflect. Humans had always been explorers, but what made them extraordinary was not merely their curiosity. It was their courage, empathy, and ingenuity. These qualities had earned the trust of a species entirely unlike their own, allowing them to form alliances that went beyond simple survival. The next day, they approached the alien settlement ruins where Lyra and her sister had first been found. Aaron had hoped to find remnants of supplies or shelter, but instead, they encountered a new threat, a group of hostile aliens, larger and more organized than the ones before, had set up a patrol near the ruins. Lyra froze for a moment, then whispered urgently, "We can use the shadows. Move slowly, follow my lead." With her guidance, the team advanced cautiously, using natural cover to avoid detection. Lyra directed each human step, indicating where to place their weight, when to pause, and how to anticipate movement. The humans, relying on her insight, were able to bypass the patrol entirely, proving again that intelligence and strategic thinking were as valuable as brute strength. By evening, they had reached the settlement without being seen. Lyra led them to a hidden storage area where old supplies had been left behind. Though partially ruined, the rations and tools were enough to sustain the team and the girls for weeks. Aaron smiled. "Looks like your people left more than ruins." "This will help us survive." Lyra nodded, pride evident in her eyes. "It is enough, and now we can move forward safely." The following weeks were spent building a safe haven. The humans and Lyra species worked together, using ingenuity and knowledge to reinforce shelter, store food, and monitor the surrounding area. Aaron observed how Lyra had become a bridge between species, her loyalty and intelligence earning her respect from every member of the human team as supplies stabilized. Aaron decided to establish communication with the main base. Using the repaired transmitter, he sent a signal, carefully encoded to avoid detection by hostile factions. Within hours, a response came. Help was on the way, along with additional resources to secure the area. Lyra and her sister were safe. For the first time since they had arrived on this harsh planet, they had a sense of stability. Lyra's eyes reflected gratitude, not only for the humans' protection, but for their respect. Aaron realized that this bond, forged in trust and courage, was the essence of what made humans extraordinary. They had faced danger, extended help to the vulnerable, and inspired loyalty that transcended species. Finally, one quiet evening, as the twin moons rose again, Aaron stood watching the girls. The younger sister laughed softly, playing near the shelter, while Lyra monitored the perimeter with sharp eyes. Aaron reflected on the journey. A desperate plea for survival had led to an alliance built on courage, intelligence, and compassion. He knew that humans could face the darkest challenges and still shine brightly. It's not because of weapons or technology, but because of their heart and mind. Lyra approached him quietly. "Thank you," she said simply. You gave us hope. You protected us when no one else would. Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. No, Lyra, you gave us hope too. You reminded us why we protect, why we explore, and why we never give up. Humanity isn't just about survival. It's about inspiring courage and building trust. You showed that today, Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the moons above. Then we will continue. I will help you as I promised, Aaron nodded, feeling the weight of the truth in her words. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable. But as long as humans were willing to extend their courage, their compassion, and their intelligence, they could forge alliances, protect the vulnerable, and inspire loyalty even in the most unexpected places. And somewhere beyond the horizon, new challenges awaited. But Aaron knew this. Humanity would meet them, not just with weapons, but with heart. The camp settled into quiet as the night deepened. Humans and aliens alike rested, side by side, sharing warmth, trust, and a fragile but unbreakable bond. Captain Aaron watched the stars above, knowing that this was the true essence of exploration. Not discovering new worlds alone, but discovering what humans could inspire in others, across galaxies, across species. In the darkness, Lyra whispered softly to her sister, "We are safe now. And we are not alone." For the first time since their ordeal began, both girls felt the comfort of